Have you ever looked at your reflection and felt something was off? Like it wasn't just a reflection, but something more. Something watching. I never gave it much thought before. Mirrors were just mirrors. Ordinary, harmless, a part of everyday life. I had passed by them, glanced at them, adjusted my hair in them 1,000 times, without a second thought. But that changed the night I got the emergency alert. That was the night I learned the truth. Mirrors aren't just reflections. And sometimes, they look back. I had been up for hours, buried under textbooks, drowning in notes, trying to cram as much information into my brain as possible. The next morning, I had an exam. One I wasn't prepared for. No matter how much I studied. My laptop screen flickered in front of me. Its glow the only light in my otherwise dark room. My fingers trembled slightly. A side effect of too much caffeine and too little sleep. My body begged for rest. But my mind wouldn't shut up. I ran a hand through my hair. Sighing. The words on the screen were blurring together. My vision swimming. Maybe I just needed a break. Just a quick one. A splash of water on my face. Maybe brushing my teeth. Something to wake me up. That's when it happened. A vibration. A short, sharp buzz from my phone. Barely noticeable over the quiet hum of my laptop's fan. At first, I ignored it. Probably just another spam notification. But then the screen lit up. The glow casting eerie shadows across my cluttered desk. I reached for my phone absent-mindedly. My toothbrush already in my mouth as I walked toward the bathroom. I unlocked the screen without thinking. Glancing at the message. Emergency alert. Cover all mirrors immediately. Do not look into any reflective surfaces. Do not attempt to interact with your reflection. I frowned. What? My groggy brain struggled to process it. An emergency alert? Like an Amber Alert? A weather warning? But why mirrors? I blinked at the words, my thoughts sluggish. Then, out of instinct, my eyes flicked up. And my reflection wasn't brushing its teeth. I felt it instantly. That horrible, sinking feeling in my gut. Like stepping off the last stair. When you weren't expecting it. My body stiffened. The toothbrush was still in my mouth, the bristles pressing against my teeth. But, the other me. It was just standing there. Watching. Unmoving. A chill crawled up my spine, slow and suffocating. My hands turned clammy, my skin prickling with cold. The bathroom suddenly felt too small, too quiet. The air pressed against my chest, thick and heavy. I should have looked away. I should have backed out of the room, turned off the light, done anything. But, what I did next? I stared. Because something inside me needed to be sure. Maybe I was imagining it. Maybe I was just tired. Maybe this was my brain playing tricks on me after hours of studying. But then, the reflection tilted its head. And I didn't. A sharp jolt of terror shot through me. My body reacted before my brain could catch up. I stumbled backward. My hips slamming into the bathroom counter. The toothbrush slipped from my fingers. Clattering into the sink. My breath hitched. My pulse pounded against my ribs, hard enough that I swore I could hear it. The reflection still didn't move. It didn't copy my panic. It just stood there. Staring at me. Its head still tilted at that unnatural angle. My phone vibrated again. The sound making me flinch. I tore my gaze away from the mirror just long enough to glance at the screen. Rules to stay safe. Do not look into the mirror. Cover all reflective surfaces. If you see your reflection move, do not react. Do not let it out. My stomach twisted. The words blurred together, my hands shaking too much to hold the phone still. I needed to cover the mirror. That was the logical thing to do, right? Just cover it. Just stop looking. I took a shaky breath and forced my feet to move. A slow, careful step forward. Another. I reached for the towel hanging beside the sink, my fingers trembling. That's when my reflection smiled. Not a normal smile. Not my usual lopsided grin. This was something else. It stretched too wide. Showed too many teeth. A grin that wasn't mine. Like it had been waiting for me to notice. I grabbed the nearest towel, heart hammering against my ribs, and threw it over the mirror. The fabric slapped against the glass, falling in uneven folds, covering it completely. Then, I took a shaky step back. Then another. I kept my eyes locked on the covered mirror as if expecting something, anything, to move underneath. My hands were ice cold. My fingers twitched at my sides, useless and numb. My body felt too stiff, too alert. Like every muscle was bracing for something to happen. My breath was shallow, quick. A part of me kept waiting to hear a rustle. For the towel to slip. For something beneath it to shift. But it didn't. It just hung there, lifeless. I forced my gaze down, swallowing against the dryness in my throat. My phone was still clutched in my trembling hands. I flicked my thumb across the screen, desperate for anything. An update, an explanation. Something that would tell me this was all just a misunderstanding. A mistake. Then, another message came through. Do not acknowledge it. It knows you've seen it. A chill shot through me, deep and sharp. It knew? What did that even mean? I sucked in a breath, but the words stuck to my ribs, heavy and suffocating. I didn't like the way that message was phrased. Like, it wasn't just my reflection. Like it was something else. Something aware. I tried to shake off the uneasiness clawing at my mind. This was ridiculous. I was tired. Stressed. And suddenly, I heard a laugh. Soft. Muffled. Coming from behind the towel. I stiffened. I swallowed hard. My mouth was dry. The air felt thinner, as if something was pressing against my chest. I wasn't crazy. I heard that. My skin prickled with something worse than fear. I held my breath, straining to listen. But, no sooner had I registered the sound than the laughter faded. Gone. Like it had never been there at all. I let out a shaky exhale, but my body wouldn't stop trembling. My muscles ached from how tense I had become. I ran a hand down my face, gripping the edge of the sink to keep myself steady. What is going on? But then, a whisper came. Low. Close. Too close. You covered the wrong side. It said. My stomach lurched. And then it laughed. Loud and wrong. The kind of laughter that shouldn't exist. Something deep in my chest told me not to listen. Not to process it. But I couldn't stop myself from thinking about the words. Wrong side? What does that mean? The words clung to my mind like a parasite, refusing to let go. I turned my head slowly, every nerve in my body screaming at me not to. My breath hitched in my throat. In my peripheral vision, the towel was still in place. Motionless. It hadn't moved. but I knew what it was trying to do. It wanted me to doubt. It wanted me to check. I swallowed, my throat clicking dryly. I wasn't going to fall for it. I wasn't going to look. I wasn't going to give it what it wanted. So, I stayed still. My legs felt locked in place, my hands curling into fists at my sides. My fingers dug into my palms, the sharp pain grounding me, keeping me from panicking. The towel was still there. I could see it. But I could also feel it. Something. Watching me. Something smiling. I clenched my jaw, gripping my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. I flicked my eyes down to the screen, desperate for something, anything that could tell me what to do next. Another message had come in. Do not speak to it. Do not touch the mirror. If it speaks, do not respond. I squeezed my eyes shut, forcing air into my lungs. Then, the whisper came again. Soft. Taunting. I can see you. My stomach twisted. My vision swam. A sound followed. A tap against the glass. Then another. Light. Rhythmic. Like fingers drumming in slow anticipation. The air thickened around me, pressing down on my skin. I needed to get out of the bathroom. Now. I turned, heart racing, my fingers reaching for the doorknob. And froze. Because in the reflection of the doorknob, I saw it. A hand. Not mine. Pale fingers pressing against the other side of the mirror. I covered the mirror with a towel. Then, how could it be possible? But, I was not in a state to think anymore. I bolted out of the bathroom, slamming the door so hard the walls trembled. My breath came in sharp gasps, too fast, too uneven. My chest ached with the effort. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. With shaking hands, I grabbed my phone and typed frantically into Google. Emergency alert mirror warning, real? No results. No news articles. Nothing. The world hadn't changed. Outside my room, everything was still normal. But, my world... I blinked at the screen. That didn't make sense. If something like this were real, if people had experienced it before, there had to be something. Some discussion. A warning. A theory. Something. But, there was nothing. I flinched so hard I nearly dropped my phone. A sharp buzz jolted through my fingers. Another message came in. Do not search for answers. Do not seek help. Do not look directly at it no matter what you hear or see. Wait until sunrise. I clenched my jaw so tight it hurt. Wait? That was it. Just wait? A wave of nausea curled through me. My stomach twisted. Then another thought hit me. Am I being monitored? They knew I had searched for answers. They knew what I was doing inside my own house. What I was searching. What I was thinking. My throat dried up. And, if they knew... Oh my God. A cold wave of realization slammed into me, knocking the air from my lungs. I was trapped. Not just in my home. In my own mind. I shuddered. My skin felt too tight, too hot, too cold all at once. I needed to think. I needed to. I ran a hand through my hair, my fingers tangling in the strands. Panic clawed at my ribs, pressing against my lungs. Then, A sound came. A slow, deliberate scrape. Coming from the other side of the bathroom door. No. No, no, no. I stiffened. I squeezed my eyes shut, pressing a hand over my mouth to stifle the shaky exhale threatening to escape. Don't look. Don't react. Don't respond. I didn't want to look. I really, really didn't want to look. But I did. And I saw the wood splintering. Something was scratching at it. From the inside. My pulse pounded against my skull. But as soon as I saw it, the scraping stopped. Pure silence. The silence that followed wasn't just silence. It was thick. Heavy. Waiting. My ears rang in the absence of sound. I was so not doing this. I was happy with my normal life. My boring, simple life. What the hell was this mirror thing? Then, I heard a whisper. Right against the door. Low. Soft. Crawling into my ears like a spider weaving its web. You looked. Didn't you? It said. My stomach twisted into tight, painful knots. My breath hitched, and a cold shiver coiled down my spine like icy fingers trailing along my skin. I bit my lips so hard I tasted copper, the sharp tang snapping me back to reality. Because, I had looked. When the alert had told me not to. I gripped my phone so tight my knuckles ached. Then, my phone vibrated violently in my hand. I barely dared to glance down. Another message came through. You must not turn your back on it. My breath hitched. Slowly, carefully, I turned. The towel had fallen from the mirror. And my reflection was no longer alone. There was something else in the glass. Not just my reflection. Something taller. Its head was tilted at an unnatural angle, like it was studying me. Like it was curious. Its mouth stretched too wide, too unnatural, the corners pulling too far. As if it had never smiled before and was only mimicking one. And its hands? They were pressed against the glass. From the inside. My reflection stood beside it, smiling. A wrong, twisted, impossible smile. My breath hitched. My body refused to move. A deep, primal fear rooted me to the spot, an instinct older than words screaming at me to run. I needed to cover the mirror. I needed to. The thing moved. Slowly. It raised a single hand, fingers too thin, too pale, dragging down the glass in a deliberate, scraping motion. And knocked. Not on my side. But, inside. Knock knock. The glass bulged outward, stretching like something was trying to push through. The air in the room curdled, thick with something unseen, something wrong. My phone buzzed violently in my shaking hand. Another alert. Leave the room. Do not return until morning. I didn't hesitate. I turned on my heel and ran. I don't remember how I spent the rest of the night. I sat there, on a cold metal bench at the bus stop. I didn't move. I didn't think. I just existed. Then, finally, the sun rose. And, as soon as it did, I stood. And I entered my house. Soft, golden light spilled through my window, chasing away the shadows that had clung to the walls overnight. The warmth should have been comforting. It should have made me feel safe. It didn't. The countdown on my phone hit 0. A final message flashed onto the screen. The mirror is safe for now. Do not speak about what you saw. It remembers. I hesitated. Step by step, I crept back toward the bathroom, my breath shallow, my pulse drumming in my ears. I reached for the door handle, my palm slick with sweat. I pushed it open. The mirror was normal. Just a mirror. No scratches. No handprints. No bulging glass. No sign that anything had ever been wrong. I almost convinced myself that I had imagined it. That it had been a nightmare. A hallucination brought on by exhaustion and paranoia. Almost. Until I lifted my phone. Until I opened the camera. And in the reflection behind me, something grinned. It's been a week. I haven't looked into a mirror since. Not in the bathroom. Not in my bedroom. Not even in the reflection of a darkened window. But I can feel it. Watching. Waiting. And last night, somewhere between the panic and the running, I had pulled out my phone. Maybe to check the time. Maybe just for something familiar, something normal. But I had swiped too far. The camera opened. For less than a second, my screen reflected my face. And in that second, I swear, I saw my reflection move. Before, I did.